Hello and welcome to the first tutorial for the photo group there at Pikes Peak Christian Church. My name is Peter and I'm kind of the Photoshop guy, and I wanted to give you a real quick tutorial that we actually did at a meeting that a lot of you missed, I believe, and those of you that were there actually had asked for me to write out the directions and that kind of stuff. So instead of doing that, I'd just like to show you in this video. This was one of the pictures that we worked with, and every once in a while we run into this problem where we've taken a picture, and really these two girls here are the highlight of the picture. You can see the background's kind of blurry, but then we've got this really harsh light coming in from the left there, and it's kind of drowned out the picture. So what we want to do is bring out the colors and the contrast a bit more. Now we can do this quite a few different ways, but I've actually found a technique that I learned from a professional photographer / Photoshop guru that really has saved me a huge amount of time, and so I want to show you that. Now all we're going to do is work in our layers palette here. We're not going to actually have to do a whole lot over here just to get pretty amazing results, and we're going to use two different adjustment layers to enhance this photo and make it look really, really nice. Now the two that we're going to use is called threshold and levels, and all I'm doing is clicking right down in here, and if you hold your cursor over, it says create new fill or adjustment layer, and we're going to use that adjustment layer. So the very first one we're going to grab is threshold, and you'll notice that right up here it's made threshold 1 and it's over the top of our background. Now I know it looks kind of strange, but don't worry about that right now. Let's go ahead and get our levels. Click on levels. And now we have levels 1 and threshold 1, and both of them are over the top of our background. So let's turn both of those off right now. Now the first one that we want to work with is threshold, and if you've ever turned off the controls for one of your adjustment layers, you can turn that off. To bring it back, you just double click on the icon there and it brings that back. Okay, and the first place we're going to look is at threshold. Now what this graph is telling us here is that the darkest darks and lightest lights in this particular photo are a little bit off. Now if you look at the number here going down to level 1, this is where the blackest blacks of the photograph is going to be. All right, that means we have true blacks. Now you'll notice that in the diagram here, our histogram is what this is called, this little graph. You notice that all of our luminance ends right here. Well, that means that right here at like 40% is where our darkest darks are. So they're not at 0%. It's actually 40%. So that's why you get all of these grays in here instead of true black. And so we want to enhance this photo to get the true blacks back. Now if we go all the way to the top, 255 is where our whitest whites should be, and you'll notice we do have whitest whites. All right, that's great. Now let's turn this layer, this adjustment layer on. I had turned the visibility off. I'm going to turn it on, and you notice it kind of turns everything into black and white. Well, what it's doing is trying to show us where we are on this spectrum. And so I'm going to push this up, and you'll notice right at level 0 we see nothing but just white. There's absolutely nothing to see there. So what I'm going to do, let me put it out here. I'm going to push this, and as I go in here, you're going to notice that we get these globs of black. Well, this is where our darkest darks in this particular photograph are, which means they're in the gray area, which is this middle area here. If it gets too far over here, it's white. If it gets too far over here, it's black. And so our blackest blacks in this photograph are way over here, and that means they're in the gray area, and we need to correct this. Now going all the way over to 255, you'll see we have our whitest whites, and they are present. All right, unlike when we had the controller all the way over here, you can see there's nothing that's in the blackest blacks. So we're going to correct that. So all we need to do is kind of memorize, okay, we got our whitest whites in this top corner up here, and we're going to pull down to where we kind of get a glob here. And you can see in this top corner right here is where our darkest darks are going to be. Okay, so we know darkest darks here, whitest whites here. So we're going to turn off threshold, and we're going to turn on our levels adjustment layer. Now this is where the magic happens. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is make sure that we've got our whitest whites, and we're not going to adjust these little guys because we could and get similar results, but we want a true adjustment to this image to make it really pop. So with the white dropper, we're going to go up into this area right up here and click on it, and you notice not a whole lot happens, if anything, which is good. That means we were correct. These are the whitest whites. Now where the changes are going to take place is when we do the blackest blacks, and so I'm going to grab that black dropper, and you remember it was up in this area right up here. Now I notice there's some red on the wall, so I don't want to click on the red. I want to grab the black. So as soon as I click on the black, look at that. There we go. We have a really good looking image. Now this middle adjustment right here is where your grays are going to be. And so if it's possible to find a mid-gray and you're really sure you've got a mid-gray, then you could use this middle dropper to select gray. I don't like doing that a whole lot because at times I'll click wrong and it really messes up the photograph. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to grab this middle, and you notice if I put it in one way or the other, it can really make a huge difference. So just concentrating on these two girls, I'm just going to adjust this just a little bit so that they kind of pop out a little bit more. So now if you turn off the levels, you can see the before and the after, and it makes a huge difference. So I hope this quick tutorial has helped out, and that it'll make a difference in your photographs. Thank you a lot for listening in, and let me know if you like it. Bye-bye.